Today's December the 14th, and it's an important day in our family. Why? Because it's my wife's birthday. So at our spiritual center today, people were wishing her happy birthday, and then she would say, "How do they know?" Well, one of them said, "Well, it's on Facebook." But some of the others, she said, "How do they know?" I said, "Well, I kind of told them." So anyway, so we celebrated today. I cooked a meal, which was pretty good. I usually cook on Sundays anyway, but I cooked something a little bit different today. She did not want to go out to eat a meal. So there you are. Well, let's get on with the reading. Stay grounded in spiritual principle. First quote is from someone I think pretty well every one of you has heard of, Deepak Chopra, who says, "To get anything in the physical world, you have to detach from the outcome and be in the process." We'll come back to that. And Ernest Holmes, and this could be misread, so I'm going to come back to this one as well. He says, "It's a great relief to know that I need not work, but merely know the truth and let it happen to me." And that was both Ernest Holmes and Raymond Charles Barker in Rich for Living. Needs a little bit of explanation. Both of those do. So, but we'll come back to them. And this is Robert Michael Gott. He says, "At our recent Unity Convention, one of our keynote speakers was the revered longtime minister, Reverend Jim Rosemurgy. He shared an experience he once had leading a community through a time that at first seemed a crisis, but that he later came to see as an opportunity. He encouraged us all, as we encounter difficulties in our role as leaders, to stand grounded in spiritual principle and unattached to outcomes. I found the simplicity of this statement inspiring, and I immediately realized that it may be simple while also not being at all easy." It says, "We are conditioned to seek safety and survival. In times of disruption and uncertainty, our first instinct is often to find a hidey hole and to hold on tightly to what little safety can be found. If instead we can activate our faith and our curiosity, we might be surprised at what opens before us. This doesn't mean that we're reckless or that we disregard what our senses tell us. Rather, we remind ourselves that there is a deeper reality than what we see. What might Spirit reveal here? For me, through me, as me. Then we listen and we choose, speak, and move from our intuitive nature, knowing that God is always well." Yeah, there's been a couple of horrible events in the last 24 hours now. I'll come back to those in a second when I do my closing. But let's get back to Deepak Chopra. Deepak Chopra says, "To get anything in the physical world, you have to detach from the outcome and be in the process." Okay, so what does that mean to me? It means that if I keep my mind focused on a positive viewpoint and not keep worrying about what's going to happen and how it's going to happen and is it going to happen, then I allow the Spirit to do its work and bring the answer through to me. So we're in the process of it happening, and we're not constantly looking to see if it has happened, like peeping, see is it happening. No, we do our thing, and then we allow Spirit to do its thing. But we also, as Raymond Charles Barker and others mentioned, we pray and move our feet. So Ernest Holmes and Raymond Charles Barker say, "It's a great relief to know that I need not work, but merely know the truth." And when it happened to me, what does that mean? It doesn't mean to say we don't do anything. It means to say that we do what the Quakers have always told us, which is to pray and to move our feet. He means that we don't need to get involved in the outcome. And that's what Deepak Chopra means as well. So What does that mean in simple terms? Well, it means this. We bring to mind what it is that we want. We wrap what it is that we want, the thought and feelings, and then we release that. But we don't get involved in how it's going to come about or exactly when it's going to come about. So it's not our job to figure out the how. Our job in anything we want, whether it's physical, mental, a spiritual thing, whatever it is, our job is to figure out what we want, wrap feeling around it, let go, and let God. In other words, we don't try and figure out exactly what steps are necessary to bring it to pass. So we detach from how it's actually got to happen. And that reminds me of, that story, and I forget the name of the guy, and I mentioned it not too long ago, actually, of somebody who was in great need. I guess he'd upset, I don't know, the mob or whoever, but he needed money to pay them in a hurry. And he wanted, I think it was $10,000. And he goes to the minister and asks the minister to pray for him to get $10,000 to keep these people at bay. And the minister keeps telling him, well, would it be okay if the whole thing just went away? But he keeps saying, no, I need the $10,000. And this goes on and on and on. But finally, the minister wears him down. The guy says, okay, it's all right if the whole thing goes away. And of course, the whole thing went away. And he took his mind off the $10,000. He just accepted the minister seeing a good outcome and let it go. So in other words, we let go and we let God. And that's what he's saying here, Michael Gott, saying we could activate our faith and our curiosity and just let Spirit do its thing. But remember, some parts of Spirit doing its thing might be signs along the way. For instance, if you want some money and an idea might come to your mind that, you're really good, say, at building things. And then an idea comes to mind on something to build. Well, then you build it and you just move ahead there. Or it could be that you're good at helping people. And if you keep your mind open, then people come along who need your help. And if you're a therapist, psychiatrist, whatever you are, then work comes along and you get money there. So it isn't our job to figure out the how. Our job is to figure out the what and have the faith to know that it's coming about. So, those are my messages for today. Also, I just want to ask everybody who watches this, who listens to these words, just to be with me in knowing peace and love for all the people involved in the shooting and the people injured at Brown University and also the ones injured at Bondi Beach in Australia. So just know with me, love surrounds all the people involved and that the Spirit works through each and every one to bring them out to goodness at the other side of these events. And I know this in my heart, I know it in my soul, I know it in my being, and I release this word into a divine law that always says yes. And so it is. And please look out for Reverend Lisa Ryan, my colleague, tomorrow at 9:15, Creative Life Spiritual Center's Facebook page. And see me on whatever social media you find me on. Until next time, namaste.